So I made the mistake last night of getting into some gear forums and looking at some stuff, and specifically I was kind of curious as to other people's experiences with EMG pickups, and wow. I never realized how divisive they were. Some of the things that I saw that seemed to stand out the most is nobody actually says, like, it's not, I mean, well, I shouldn't say nobody, but very rarely is it just like, it's not the tone I'm looking for. You know, people say things like they sound sterile. Like, I don't understand how they sound sterile, but I guess sterile is just kind of like far too generic of a term. Some people say, like, they're only good for metal, but then there's guys like David Gilmour, Prince, Steve Winwood, Brian Jones, Vince Gill, Jeff King. I think Eric Clapton uses them, so that's kind of a weird argument. But then there's people that are like, well, they're not good for metal because they're not good for high gain applications because they sound muddy. Most albums, like, I mean, listen to the Black Album, whether you like the Black Album or not, and I'm not getting into the whole Metallica conversation there, but you gotta admit those guitar sounds aren't muddy. They're pretty fucking big. A lot of people say they sound compressed, which again, I don't understand that because, yeah, there's a preamp, but it's not like they have a built-in compressor. I think the word that people should be looking for in that scenario is equalization, just because of the different resonance that pickups have, or different frequency responses. It's not the same as compression. I don't know, it just seems odd. But anyways, like, I'm not here to talk shit on people that don't like EMGs. Oh, wait. Every guitar sounds the same, which is what I wanted to get to. One of the other things is every guitar that has EMGs in them sounds exactly the same, and blah, 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 blah. And that's a thin line, because there's a bit of a gray area there, because most pickups do have their own tone imprint that they will carry through no matter what guitar they're in, whether it be an active pickup or a passive pickup. Now, granted, you're going to have more variation in passive pickups than you will in active pickups, but still, there's still going to be, you know, people buy certain pickups like a Seymour Duncan JB or a jazz pickup, or I'm trying to think other, like certain DiMarzio pickups. You know, I mean, it's not just a willy-nilly purchase to put a pickup in a guitar. Usually you buy a pickup because you know roughly how that pickup sounds, and that's the sound that you want. So acting like EMGs are the only pickup that have a specific tone imprint that they leave is kind of a weak argument, because, like I said, they all have that. All pickups have that to some degree. But anyways, so what I did, I have 4 guitars that I'm going to play a section of a song, and I'm not doing like heavy tones and clean tones and all that bullshit. Clean tones are subjective. A lot of people have vastly different clean tones that range from being very chimey and pretty to being crunchier than 3-day-old toast. I wanted to get through the heavy stuff because that was one of the things I saw a lot, was it makes all, you know, they're too muddy for heavy music and high gain applications, and they lack clarity. So what I did is I have a section of a song. It's gonna have like a gallopy single note riff, and then there's like a chugging section where one guitar chugs on the left channel, and the guitar on the right channel kind of does like a octavey single note thing. The left and right channel will be the same guitar for each sample with the same pickups, and the pickups, or the guitars we're going to use, are a Squier Affinity Jazzmaster with a Het Set, and a Squier Contemporary Jazzmaster with an EMG 81 and a 60 in it, the Metalworks, in case that makes a difference. The Jazzmasters have poplar bodies, maple necks, and Indian laurel fingerboards. The other 2 guitars we're going to use, Epiphone Les Paul Customs. The one has an EMG Het Set, and the other one has an EMG 57 and a 66 with the plastic covers, just in case that makes a difference. So my signal path is my guitar into a Line 6 Helix, into the PC, through the USB, and I thought I had it on the new Rev Purple channel that they added to the 2.9 update on the Helix, but apparently it was the red But there's the general view of the patch that I'm using in the Helix with a Bogner IR that I have. So the first guitar was the Squier Affinity Jazzmaster with the Het Set. The second guitar was the Epiphone Les Paul Custom with the Het Set, which I felt was a little warmer than the Jazzmaster. The third guitar was the Les Paul Custom with the 5766. That I thought was really close to the Het Set. It was maybe slightly less output and maybe a little bit warmer, but I felt that those two guitars sounded the closest. And then the last guitar, or the last sample, was the Contemporary Jazzmaster with the 81 and the 60 in it. And those, I kind of felt like they weren't as bright as the other three guitars. Maybe slightly less output than the Het Sets. But the Metallica doesn't use a lot of gain compared to most metal bands out there. Hetfield's pickups are a little higher output than most of the sets. I had no processing or no post-processing on any of these tracks. The drums had some slight EQing to them just so they weren't, to balance them out a little bit, but the bass was running through an EzMix preset, and the guitars were exactly as you would have heard them coming out of the Helix. And then I did no like blanket EQing or anything over the whole track. It's just untouched.